So that is what you can learn from that mistake. Okay, so there are many things to learn, and then there are also other tragedies. The Enkova Central 1988, Mumbai High North 2005, Usuma Kinta 2007, Deepwater Horizon 2010. They all have accidents that started from different types of failures or different types of conditions or unsafe acts done by human. All right, so all these accidents, it happened because of a human itself. It's due to design failure or lack of safety program, and then lack of SOPs. Okay, so these are all should be changed, and it should be ingrained in everyone's behavior in the organization. Everybody should put safety as number one and should have this. This is what you call as a safety culture. When you make it a habit, it becomes a culture. So a safety culture is something that should be in any organization. Okay, so what is a safety culture? So safety culture, it can be seen as a concept that describes the shared corporate values within an organization, and it influences the attitudes and behaviors of all of its members. So if the corporate value has that kind of culture, it will be followed by all of its members or all of its followers, or in this case, all of its workers. Okay. It's like a habit. If the leader has that habit, everybody will follow that good habit. So safety culture is part of the overall culture of the organization and is seen as affecting the attitudes and the beliefs of the members in terms of health, safety, and performance. So in other words, safety culture really is the attitudes, the values, the norms, the beliefs that one particular group of people share with respect to risk and safety. So they share in the organization the same kind of belief, the same attitudes, and the same values. So it becomes a culture. Now, safety culture refers to the extent to which an individual or group in the organization will commit to personal responsibility to safety. That is their commitment. Their commitment is safety is number one, especially their personal safety, their own safety. And then they have to commit to act to preserve the safety. They themselves have to act upon it. They cannot rely on other people to ensure your safety in that place. You have to be responsibility and you have to act upon it. And then if there are any safety concerns, you have to communicate and enhance that safety concern. If you see something that is not right, you should tell people about it. You should communicate to other people about it, or help to reduce that risk or whatever hazard that you see. You don't just walk past it. Okay, like you see a crack on a wall or a pipeline or on a flash, for example. You see something wrong. You don't just look at it and just think, I guess somebody will do something about it. I'm busy with my own stuff, my own work. I have my own tasks. I have to get it done. So let the person get that done. Okay. You cannot assume that other people knows about it. So you have to voice out, communicate, because safety has to be the number one responsibility. You have to act upon it. You cannot wait for other people. And then you should also strive to actively learn. If you see something something new, you should always have that curiosity to learn about that thing, so that when you understand about it, you can operate it safely, use it safely, and know how to avoid dangers or avoid any harm. And then you should also commit to adapt and modify behavior based on lessons learned from mistakes. You should be ready to change your behavior, ready to change your attitude or your culture based on whatever has happened. You have to learn from that mistake. You have to be ready. You cannot be egoistic and then think that, oh, that will only happen to them, it won't happen to me. I don't have to do anything about it. You should change your attitude, change your behavior, so that the previous accidents that happened to other people will not happen to you. Okay. So, how do you encourage good safety culture? So, good safety culture can be promoted by these 4 factors. First of all, it is the senior management has to be committed to safety. It's that peribahasa. What's the peribahasa in Malay that says that if the boss does it, so your followers should follow? Anybody? Peribahasa? If the father does it, the child will do it also.
Bapak borek anak rintik.
That.
Bapak borek anak rintik.
Is that what it is?
Menyentuh bulu dari rebungnya.
Saya jatuh kuat kalau tak ke nasi.
Okay. Okay. So is that if your father does something good, if your father has a good culture, it's high chance that the child will follow that good attitude, right? So if you have a leader that has a good commitment to safety, it will just naturally be followed by the workers or the followers of that management. Okay. And then realistic and flexible custom and practices for handling both well-defined and ill-defined hazards. So if you have all these hazards has been identified, so handling of the hazard has to be realistic and flexible. You can change the SOP, for example. It has to be realistic. Okay? It has to be. It has to make sense. Okay? It doesn't have to be too complicated that it makes it difficult. And then there's the continuous organizational learning through practices such as a feedback system, monitoring and analyzing. So there should be this systematic system, so that it's a continuous learning system where you have this feedback and then you have the monitoring and then you have the analyzing. So this is how you can promote good safety culture. And then you should also have care and concern for hazards, which is shared across the workforce. Like I said just now, if you see a hazard, you should have that mentality that things is not safe. Just safe is not just as dangerous to me, it's also dangerous for everybody in this company. Okay, so I should tell other people about it, share it among the whole workforce to show that you are concerned about it. Okay, so that is how you promote safety culture, and hopefully we don't have accidents happen. Alright, but so if you go back to all the accidents, how do the accidents happen? So people have studied about theories of accident causation. How do accidents happen? It's like the domino, right? if one of the domino block falls, and then all of it will also fall off, right? It's because there is because of one accident causes the other dominoes to fall also. Okay, first of all, so why do accidents occur? If you remember, we were discussing just now on all of the accidents. There were so many reasons why the accidents occur. It occurred is mostly because of human. It's human reason. It's caused by human itself, right? Like you cannot blame. Oh, it's because of the weather. You cannot blame the weather for the accident. It could have been avoided if the design for the structure was made using a higher standard of calculation. And then the fatigue failure that happened because of the welding. So it could have been avoided if there were a stricter inspection procedure on the construction of the building. Okay? So there are many reasons why accidents occur. All right, so yes, we choose to handle dangerous processes, materials, and energies because in the oil and gas industry, you just cannot run away from dangerous and harmful and high-risk processes. Even the material itself is dangerous, it's high risk, it is flammable. And then the processes uses a high amount of energy, energy intensive, requires high pressure, requires high temperature. So they're all hazardous and risky. So with all that, with the combination of the flammable material, hazardous condition, high pressure, high temperature, moving parts, all this is always a tendency for accidents to happen. So why do we have to do this? Because, well, somebody has to do it. Somebody needs to make a living. You need the job, you need the money, okay? And then you have to do it because you produce the final product that are desirable to the society. People need it. People need to make plastic bottles, for example. People need gasoline for their cars to move, unless in the future everybody just choose to use electric cars. Everybody will be using Tesla cars, and yeah, so maybe you don't have to work in a chemical plant anymore. You don't have to work in a refinery anymore. So as long as we choose to handle them, there's a potential for loss events to exist. Okay? So, but things, it can be done differently to reduce the likelihood and severity of the accidents to a negligible or even tolerable levels. Okay, so how do accidents occur? So there are several theories that attempt to explain the occurrence of accidents. So safety experts have thought about this, they studied about accidents, and then they came out with several different theories. One of it is called the Domino Theory. And then there is the human factors theory. And then there's the Swiss cheese model theory. And then the accident incident theory, the socio-technical system framework, the epidemiological theory, and the systems theory. So these are among the theories that explains how accidents work. All right, so the first theory, which is one of the most famous theory, is called the domino theory, the domino effect. So again, we see Herbert W. Heinrich again. So he was the pioneer of accident prevention and industrial safety, and he studied, remember, he studied at 75,000 reports on accidents for insurance claims, and he included with the triangle. And then he also concluded that 88% of industrial accidents are actually caused by unsafe acts that's committed by the workers. So that's a very high percentage. If you remember, if you go back to the previous examples also, the accidents were caused by unsafe acts committed by the workers. For example, the first one was because of the cracks in the well. So we can say that it's due to unsafe acts. It's because they failed to do inspection of the well before the whole semi-submersible hotel was installed into Norway. They could have checked it before it was installed offshore. And then the accidents on Piper Alpha, it was due to unsafe acts because they uninstalled one pump without installing a backup pump. So that's an unsafe act also. And then what are the accidents? A lot of those accidents are actually caused by unsafe acts that was committed by the workers. And then only 10% of industrial accidents were caused by unsafe conditions. While unsafe conditions can be, we can include the accident on the what's that thing in the one in Canada? What was it called again, Michelle? Does anybody remember? You remember what was it called? Anybody? Did anyone take notes? Nobody take notes? The one in Norway is Alexander Killen. The one in Canada is? Anyone?
Ocean
Nobody?
Range.
Huh?
Ocean Range.
Ocean Ranger.
Ah, yes.
Okay, so somebody is taking notes. So the Ocean Ranger collapsed due to severe weather, right? Due to the winter storm, extreme weather. So that's I would say that is unsafe conditions. Yeah, I guess. Unsafe condition. There are also other examples that actually due to unsafe conditions. But unsafe condition, if you go back again, why is that condition unsafe? That condition is unsafe is also because of unsafe act of the human, right? Because conditions, unsafe conditions, is actually caused by people. So it goes back to unsafe acts. Okay, so 2% industrial accidents are unavoidable. So okay, I guess this one is where the Ocean Ranger goes in, because it's due to the forces of nature. Okay, it's because of the extreme weather. It was just unavoidable. They probably had the best engineering design, but even with the design, it still happened. Let's say if there were an earthquake, for example, so it's unavoidable. Okay, so only 2% is unavoidable, but you can see that 88% by unsafe act and 10% by unsafe conditions. So that means about 98% are actually avoidable, right? 98% of accidents are avoidable. It can be avoided. So only 2% are the unavoidable one. So let's see why. Okay, so Heinrich came up with the axiom of industrial safety. So he has this like rule of industrial safety. So number one, he said that injuries result from a complete series of factors, one of which is the accident itself. So injuries doesn't just happen just because of one reason. Okay, like for example, the person hurt his knee because he fell. So the factor is not okay. Maybe he fell because of a slippery floor. So the factor is not just the floor is slippery. There will be another factor. Why is the floor slippery? Or maybe there's a leak somewhere. There's a leak from a tank, a water tank, for example. So that's another factor. Why is the water tank leaking? There's also a reason. There should be a reason for that. Why is it leaking? It could be to the type of material that's being used for that tank. Why do you use that type of material? Then it goes back to who chose to use that material. It still goes back to human. Who decided on using that material? Okay, so even before who did the construction, who decided to use that material? And finally, it goes back to who designed it, which is always the engineer's fault. It's always the engineer is liable for whatever accident that had happened. Okay, so the injuries that has caused the injuries that person had just because of he hurt his knee because he fell is not just because of the spilled water on the deck, for example. There's a reason why the spill happened before. Okay, so that's why it says it's a complete series of factors. It's not just because of one factor. So an accident can occur as a result of unsafe act and or unsafe condition. So the person fell, so that's an accident. It's because of unsafe act. Maybe he was just walking without looking. That's his unsafe act. But then the condition was also unsafe. He was walking on a floor that was maybe not stable, and it was watery, it was slippery, so it's an unsafe condition. But who caused the unsafe condition? It's probably somebody had an unsafe act, spilled it without cleaning it. You can see that it's actually a series of factors, a lot of factors. So most accidents are the result of unsafe behavior by the people. So even if you say it's an unsafe condition or unsafe act, it's always the behavior of the people. Okay, so most accidents. An unsafe act or an unsafe condition does not immediately result in accident or injury. What does it mean here? An unsafe act or an unsafe condition does not immediately result in accident or injury. Oh yeah, okay. So if you have, let's say, the unsafe condition is you have a leaking pipe. Okay, you have a leaking pipeline. So the leaking pipeline doesn't cause any injury or accident yet. Only after it explodes, then it causes the accident. You see, so it doesn't immediately cause an accident injury. It will take a while until something happens, something accumulates, maybe pressure accumulates, or a spill or leakage, then the accident happens. So number 5 in Heinrich's axiom of industrial safety, the reasons why people commit unsafe acts can serve as helpful guides in selecting corrective actions. So we have to investigate, why did that person commit unsafe act? You have to go back and see what has caused that person to do that. Okay, so and then from there, you can select what type of corrective actions can be done, because not all actions can be applied for all conditions. All right, more on Heinrich's axiom of industrial safety, number 6. The severity of an accident is largely fortuitous, and the factors that cause it are largely preventable. So the severity is by chance, is largely fortuitous, and the factors that cause it are preventable. Yeah, so all of these accidents, you can say they are accidents, it happens, but the factors that cause it, it's preventable. Because 88% of it is preventable. You can always prevent. There's always something that you can do that can be done for that accident to not happen. Number 7 in Heinrich's axiom of industrial safety. The prevention techniques are analogous with the best quality and productivity techniques. So it's always There's always a relationship that if you have the best technique in productivity, the prevention technique will also be good. Number 8, in Heinrich's axiom of industrial safety, the management should assume responsibility for safety because it is the best position to get results. So there's always the management who is the one that has to take responsibility for the safety of the workers. Okay? So that's why if anything happens to the workers, the management have to answer, okay, why that has happened. The workers don't have to say anything about it. They don't have to give answers to what have happened. It's the management. And the key person in the prevention of industrial accident is actually the supervisor. So your supervisor is that person that is responsible to prevent industrial accident, because he is your direct superior, the direct boss is your supervisor. And that supervisor, the person who's responsible for him will be his supervisor or his superior. And number 10 in Heinrich's axiom of industrial safety, in addition to the direct cause of an accident, for example, we discussed about this. We discussed about the compensation, the liability claims, the medical costs, the hospitalization expenses. So there are also the hidden or indirect costs. So this is also under Heinrich's axiom of industrial safety, number 10. All right, so there are 5 factors in the sequence of leading up to an accident. I would like to take a 5 minutes break to grab a drink. And
Okay,
then after
Doctor.
that,
Okay,
yeah.
Doctor, thank you.
Okay, thank you also. I need a break. Okay, you probably, are you guys tired? It's 2 o'clock, it's nap time. Okay, let's take a break for a while. And I'll be back. Okay, good. And I want to grab a drink. Where's the gun?
No. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, why are they Oh my god, one more.
Astaghfirullahaladzim. What did she do? What did what? Let me see.
Apa dia nak buat?
Tak tahulah. Sibuk ke? Sikit dia tak. Main kat luar. Okay, outside.
Jom.
Okay. Check the time. It's 3:22. Sekejap Sekejap. All right, let's continue on. It's now 3:24. So let's look at one of the first theory of accident causation. Okay, going back to the accidents, there are 5 factors in the sequence of events leading up to the accident. So it's like the domino. If you have 5 pieces of domino, there's for the last one to drop, it all has to be it all connects to each other. If one falls off, the rest will also fall. So first of all, in the factors, wait, hang on. I forgot, somebody just who's here just now? Let's check the attendance again. Who I did not call just now? So somebody is not here. Yeah, there's a repeater here. Yes, 4 o'clock. Alright, going back to the factors is now. Okay, so the first factors in the sequence of event is the ancestral and social environment. So we look back at the social environment because normally you can get influenced by the environment, or you can get influenced by the habit of your ancestors. Because let's say if our ancestors' culture is to take off our shoes when we go into our homes, so we follow the same culture or the same behavior. You don't suddenly suddenly you wanna wear shoes in your house. You don't do that. Okay, it's because of the ancestral, or because of the social environment. For example, like nowadays everybody wants to wear this new fashion from Korea. It's because of the social environment. Everybody's doing it, so we want to do it too. So you can get what we call influenced by the environment and your ancestors. So if your ancestors have a habit of just as easy as turning off the lights whenever you leave the room, so you will have that same habit of turning off the lights whenever you leave the room. Okay. So and then the second factor is the fault of a person, which is carelessness. What has caused a person to be careless is normally because of the social environment, or the unsafe act that was done by the person. So why is that person careless? There's a reason. Not everybody was born careless. We were born, we were born uninfluenced, and what gives us colors or our characters is based on the environment, from what we learn. So if we grow up from an environment that's always careless, so you tend to become that kind of person also. And once you're careless, like you're not careful, then you tend to act in an unsafe manner. Okay? Or not just that, just because you're careless, you're always spilling stuff. So you create this unsafe condition. You always have this floor that's dirty and slippery. You create that condition. And you also do unsafe act. You're I don't know, you're always like walking in all these slippery areas. It's unsafe. And because you're already careless, and then it's the yeah, because it's the habit that you're used to it. And then due to all this, then accident can happen. And when accidents happen, then that is when you have an injury. So it means that so all of this is related. Okay. So the five factors in the sequence of the events leading up to the accidents, or all those ancestry and social environment. Okay. If there is a negative character traits, it might lead to people to behave in an unsafe manner, and it can be inherited or acquired as a result of the social environment. Let's say in that society, everybody smokes. Grandma smokes, grandpa smokes, dad smokes, mom smokes, brother, sister smokes, and uncles, everybody smokes. Of course you would smoke too, right? So it's because of the social environment as well as ancestries. Or sometimes you're just not if you're just not a smoker, your family never smoke. But if you go to work or school or be friends with people who smokes, then you would tend to have a habit of smoking too. And then that's the fault of a person. Because of the environment, you start to have the negative character traits. It's either you inherited it or you acquired it from somebody. And then this is why people behave in unsafe manner. You start smoking at a gas station, or you start smoking while you're cooking. You have a stove that's while cooking. So these things are, you're doing some things that's unsafe in a hazardous condition, or maybe, well, if you are cooking, it's not really that hazardous, but you are creating that hazardous condition by having a smoke near the gas, right? And then the next factor is unsafe act or unsafe condition. So just because of that negative trait or negative behavior of that person, you have caused unsafe condition, and you do unsafe acts committed by that person. And then with all that, accidents happen. And when accidents happen, then you get injured. So injury happens. Okay. So the domino theory is that if there is somebody is injured, which is the final domino, it won't just happen just because suddenly I'm injured, like tiba-tiba. It doesn't just happen like that. Okay, it must be a reason why it happens. So an injury happen, it will only happen as a result of an accident. Okay. If you purposely do it, then that's not an accident, but then that's a different thing. That's an unsafe act. Yeah. But injury happen because of something, it just doesn't happen by chance. And why do accidents happen? So accident only occurs as a result of a personal or mechanical hazard. So that must be a reason why the accident happened. It cannot just occur on its own. So you have to go back on why did it happen? So it's because of a personal or mechanical hazards. So why did that happen in the first place? Why were there hazards? So the hazards can only occur if somebody puts that hazards there. So it's probably because it's the fault of a careless person who had caused the hazard to be there, or somebody must have poorly designed it and caused that happen to occur, or improper maintenance of the equipment, which is also caused by somebody who has not properly maintained that equipment. So it all again goes back to that person, to that one person who has that negative traits in which he probably inherited it from his ancestors, or he acquired it from his social environment. Okay? So the social environment is where and how that person was raised and educated. So you see, that's why it's normally It's not. It's like if a kid does something wrong, you blame the parents. It really is. And then it's like, but then they will say, oh, bukan salah ibu yang mengandung. Then salah bapa lah yang mengandungkan ibu, right? So it's always something that has caused it. Okay. Now, Heinrich theory has two central points. So he said that injuries are caused by the action of preceding factors. So all the preceding factors has caused that injuries. So the injuries that happen to that person is actually caused by the environment, the ancestral environments that has caused that injury when he hurt his knee, for example. Okay. So there's a series of events. And with all that series of events, if you remove one of the several factors, let's say you remove these unsafe act or hazardous condition, it negates the action of the preceding factor, and by doing so, it prevents accidents and injuries. If you have a set of dominoes, that 5 dominoes, okay, if you push one down, it will knock the one next to it, and then that will knock the one next to it, and finally to the last domino block. But what if you remove one of the domino in the middle? If you remove one, for example, if you remove unsafe act and unsafe condition, any fault by the ancestry and by the person will stop there. So therefore, it won't cause accident and it won't cause any injury. So something, if you can eliminate one thing, you can eliminate accident or injury.